Hi guys, so this is my vlog of my trip to Iceland that I made in early September 2018. It's my first attempt at a vlog, so there's like a lot of waving to camera and not enough talking really, hence the need for a voiceover, but it's my first attempt. So yeah, I'm terrible at starting these. I'm actually doing talk. I'm already in Iceland. I'm in a very spacious toilet in the airport. Just going to get on a bus, then get on another plane, and then hopefully arrive at my destination, and we can do some whale watching tomorrow. Yeah, fun times. So yes, after the main flight, I had to then get a local domestic flight, which meant getting a bus across the town to a very, very tiny little airport. This is the terminal. This is Edmund. I then got onto an equally tiny little plane and ended up sitting right next to the propellers, which was interesting, a little bit intimidating. But yeah, because it was only a 35-minute flight, it didn't go very high, and that offered me my first sort of look at the spectacular scenery that Iceland has to offer. And on this flight, I found that the scenery was enhanced by listening to Two Steps to Hell, which I'll put on for you now. Okay, so I've just landed. I could get a taxi to town, but it's about a 45-minute walk, so why wouldn't I do that when the surroundings look like this? And it's so peaceful here, it's lovely. This place is beautiful. Okay, so an awesome walk. I just got to my hotel room. It's not the biggest, but it's going to be lovely and comfy. It's got a lovely picture of an owl. So what more could you want? I'm going to go find a restaurant now that apparently sells puffin and whale meat. I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm going to go look at the menu just to see how it's presented, really. Oh, and the key makes this just very satisfying sound as it goes in the door. I ended up having a taste of a curry, which was a sample of the traditional local dishes, including whale itself, minke whale to be precise, which was, quite nice actually. The next morning, after some breakfast, I headed to the whale boat where I was provided with some accessories. So it's the morning, and I'm fully decked in whale gear, a lot more than before. It's boiling. I've got about 80 coats in the bag. But let's fingers crossed to see some whales. To be honest, just as a boat trip, this would have been spectacular. The calm water was just absolutely gorgeous, and the scenery was nothing short of spectacular. In the end, I was glad that I had all the coats, because it got very cold out in the water. As we carried on going further north than I'd ever been, we saw jellyfish in the water passing by, and it just got even prettier. And then we caught our first glimpse of the whales themselves. These were humpback whales. They were currently, when we saw them, they were feeding, so they were sort of surfacing for air, coming up a few times, taking some deep breaths, and then diving, just showing the fluke of their tail as they went back down. And then they were down for sort of 10 minutes or so each time. One thing about whale spotting in Iceland is it's very hard to sort of keep an eye on the water, try and actually watch for the whales, as it were, when the scenery is just that gorgeous around you. And so we were quite lucky. We saw a couple of whales, and we saw them a few times as well. But then eventually it was time to head back. And then again, heading back, just the lighting of this place is just spectacular. And then, if that wasn't enough, we got to see a bonus whale on the way back. And that couldn't even be ruined by someone adding their own whale sound effects while we were watching it. So that was really cool. I've never seen the flukes of the tail before, you know, like when it goes to dive. So yeah, that was very magical, very cool. And now, with my hair looking like the guy from The Cure, I'm going to go get some food and then just have a little wander around, see what I can find around town. I like that there's a place called We Bloody Love Steak, and then clarifies it as a steakhouse and leaf. So Akureyri is actually the second biggest city in Iceland, and it's tiny, but it does boast some great features such as a late-night lasagna hut and a late-night ice cream hut. My walk led me to a very cool-looking church that overlooked the harbour. I walked past some very unique, interesting-looking houses, and I found the botanical gardens where I had some lunch. Some ancient agricultural equipment. I don't know why I'm filming this. You can see what it is. This place has a vibe of Place in the Birds by Alfred Hitchcock. I don't know why, something about it. I then found a sort of weird steep path used by some sort of historical figure, presumably, and then had a walk down to the harbour, and it just defined tranquility. Exploring further, I was delighted to find a Toys R Us, complete with a Norwegian Buzz Lightyear.
Vi har en intergalaktisk krise. Buzz Lightyear till undsättning.
I also found what I hoped to be a bargain. Just found the Ultimate Collector's Series Millennium Falcon. This price, you think, oh, looks quite high. You'd be bloody right. It's even more expensive in the UK. Just across from Toys R Us was a Netto where, according with holiday tradition, I went to see if I could find any amusingly named products. After finding some horrifically colourful donuts, I happened upon some Suck You Laddie and some erroneously named Mix, which I had to try. I then returned to the hotel to reflect on the holiday so far. Apologies for the chewing noises. So after a lovely cup of Mix and horrific a snack, probably shouldn't have taken a bite before eating actually. Basically, there's not actually that much here to do. I've had it's nice sights and things and walks and stuff. But in terms of something to actually do, there's not really much here. So, I'm hoping I won't be bored tomorrow afternoon. I can always go on another whale watching trip, even though I'm already going in the morning. There's also a motorcycle museum and an agricultural industry museum as well. So I could always just go along to them, I guess, or just watch some Icelandic TV, see what that's like. But it's still nice, it's nice and relaxing, it's very chilled. It's all very peaceful and quiet here, so yeah, that's it for now. That evening I decided to go to a bar and then after a few drinks go for another explore. I found the church again, this time with dramatic lighting. The gardens unfortunately were closed, but they looked very pretty. And then my reality was turned upside down. Well, now I don't know what to think. I found a 24-hour Iceland in Iceland. I've had 2 beers, and that's enough for that to boggle my mind. Next morning was the second trip, and I got to the boat really early, so I could get a good spot and just chilled out watching the jellyfish while waiting to get going. The trip was much the same, to be honest, the same dramatic scenery. We saw some more humpbacks slightly closer than before, which was cool. Heading back, I came up with a new plan for the afternoon, but part of that involved a half-hour wait at the Arctic Exploration Museum, complete with sled experience. So I've done 2 trips on the slower boat now, and I was like, screw this, I'm going to go mental and go on the speedboat. So now I've got the gear again, and a life jacket, and I had to sign a disclaimer, and we're wearing goggles apparently, and it's just advertised as whale watching extreme, so it should be a giggle. Extreme, it turns out, was not a boast. I was actually really glad I filmed this bit when I did, because we were flying along and then we started hitting really choppy waves. They got so choppy to the point that the person in front of me was thrown out and drowned. Although this did improve my view somewhat. After only a little while, we found whale watching gold. We found a humpback whale, and it was doing all of the big acrobatic sort of behaviors. We got breaching, head slapping, tail slapping, flipper slapping, it did this, like, all of these several times. It was absolutely unreal, spectacular. The photos here were taken by our guide, Tess. I did a little bit of footage, but that was about it. I never thought I'd see anything like this, and I later found out that this much activity is so rare. It's sort of 1 in every 200 or 300 trips. So yeah, I feel incredibly privileged to have seen such a thing. The sheer size and power of the thing was quite hard to comprehend. But knowing that those flippers were roughly twice the length of me gave me some sort of vague reference. And when it did the head slapping was actually one of the weirdest bits, because it's the way it sort of slowly rose from the water, and it looked so alien, just kind of emerging from the sea like that. And yet at the same time, so familiar, because you could see all the humpback characteristics, like the shape of the flippers, the throat grooves, the head bumps, all these things that I've been seeing in photos for decades of my life now. Yeah, just overwhelming, the whole experience. I decided to stop filming after a while, after the waves had sloshed way too much water over my camera already. And then so we headed back, and we actually stopped to look at this thermal waterfall, which was bizarre, because as we got close to it, the steam, it was warm water. You could feel the warmth coming off it. Very bizarre. Hi guys, so I just got back to the hotel. We saw them breach, we saw them tail slap. I'm drenched through. I've drank about 18 pints of salt water, but I don't care. That was the coolest thing possibly I've ever seen. That was just insane. Something I've wanted to see since I was a kid. Yeah, I'm genuinely lost for words right now, apart from those ones I just said. But yeah, whew. Once back at the hotel, I set about drying my shoes and hoodie as the aforementioned marine biologist Tess had agreed to go for a meal with me, and it turned out to be a really nice way to sort of lovely evening to end the holiday with. Hi guys, so it's time to leave sadly. I had a lovely meal with the marine biologist yesterday evening, very pleasant. Learned a lot more, very educational meal, which was cool. Yeah, so I'll do a conclusion later when my head's a bit more in the space. Still reeling from seeing breaching humpback whales yesterday. Just insane. Yeah, I'm going to have some breakfast and then do the 12 hours door to door. I'm going to put my phone on timer to see what happens. To see what happens. I'm guessing the time's going to go up. We'll see how long it takes. The time did indeed go up. Walking back to the airport offered me one last moment to enjoy the sort of peaceful fjord. However, my time there wasn't quite up. I boarded the plane and we travelled to the end of the runway and then turned around and travelled right back. Got off at the airport. The flight ended up being delayed by 3 hours. So after a ropey as hell landing in Reykjavik, a tense bus ride, and then a sprint through the airport, I made the plane by less than 5 minutes. But the eventual journey time was less than 12 hours in the end, so that's all right. Taking off in the plane from Akureyri offered not only a sort of rare, exciting view of the landing gear, which you don't usually get, but it meant that I could see all of the places that I'd explored in one view, which sort of served as a fantastic, conclusive sort of visual for the whole trip. So that was really nice. I could even see the little speedboat heading out for a trip, which was fun. Overall, I adored my trip to Iceland. It was really nice and relaxed. The people were lovely. The scenery was unreal and had very dramatic lighting almost the entire time. There's quite a few V8 muscle cars just driving around town. Didn't manage to film any of them, but yeah, which, you know, what isn't improved without V8 muscle cars? And of course, yeah, the reason I went, the humpback whales, which did not disappoint, really putting on a show, just unreal. And yeah, I would recommend to a friend. Cheers for watching, guys.